Welcome to the December 4th, 2017 meeting of the Tupelo Planning Committee. We ask that you please silence your cell phones. We will begin with the invocation given by Bill Smith and the Pledge of Allegiance by Patty Thompson.
May we all stand, bow our heads. Most kind and Heavenly Father, we'd like to thank you for a day that we have never seen. We thank you for the blessings you have brought to us thus far this year, and that you be with us in our media services while we are here and making decisions that are in the best interest of the city. We thank you, O Heavenly Father, for these our blessings. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'll begin the meeting introducing ourselves, starting with Pat on my right.
Pat Faulkner, City Planner.
MacArthur Turner. Christian Reed.
Patty Thompson.
Scott Davis.
Ted Mull.
Bill Smith.
Thank you. Pat, can you give us a review of the previous meetings?
Right. The two flexible uses that we approved at the November meeting were confirmed by the City Council. The rezoning will be on the council's agenda tomorrow night because of the hearing process. It's postponed one meeting, but it will be on tomorrow night.
Okay, thank you. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting? Mm-hmm. Do we have a motion to approve?
I so move.
I'll second.
All right. Those in favor, would you please raise your right hand. And it passes. All right. The new business tonight, we have two variances. The first one, the City of Tupelo Department of Development Services has received an application for a variance from Joseph Marshall on behalf of Barnes Crossing Kia, located at 3003 Tom Watson Drive, to raise their freestanding sign from 16 feet tall to a height of 24 feet tall. The development code states that a freestanding sign for a business advertising one business in the regional commercial zoning district may be no taller than 16 feet. This property is located in the regional commercial zoning district. Is someone here to speak for this?
I am.
All right, would you please approach the podium, give your name and address, and state your case?
Scott, at this time, I do need to recuse myself from this one.
All right, thank you.
My name is Andrew Warmoth. I'm with Barnes Crossing Auto Group, and our address is 3003 Tom Watson Drive.
Okay.
So this request is in regards to the new Kia location that's currently being built off of US 45. It's currently located in a low-lying area on Tom Watson Drive, and I've included in our variance application a few pictures so you can visualize what what 24 foot would actually look like. Given that US 45 is a high-speed road and that Barnes Crossing Kia is in a low-lying area, we find this request to be in reason, and for other reasons include some of our closest neighbors include Texaco, which is 0.3 miles from us, and that sign is 26 feet high, which is 2 feet higher than our request. Cracker Barrel, which is 0.4 miles from us, that also has a 24-foot sign. And Home Depot, which is 0.7 miles, that has a 25-foot sign. And then lastly, and most importantly, Carlock Kia, which is 0.8 miles from us, and their sign is 35 feet, so which is 11 feet taller than our request.
Are there any questions for the applicant?
All right. Can I get you to review that? You said Carlock Kia. Did you mean Carlock Toyota?
Yes, sir. Carlock Toyota.
No questions?
What is the height of the sign at CarMax?
Pat, do you know what the CarMax sign height is?
It's I believe it's 16 feet. It's not over 16.
Do you have any other alternatives?
Well, Kia whenever they came to visit this site, what they saw was Toyota. So they wanted to go 35. We didn't see that to be even, we didn't even want to bring that to this meeting. So what we came up with was 24, and they thought that was reasonable, so that's what we brought.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Pat, in the neighborhood that they're located in, when you talk about Cracker Barrel or those signs, why are they 24 as opposed to 18 where the variant says 18? The code says 18 feet.
This area was developed under the previous code. A lot of the businesses around the Barnes Crossing area were under the development code that was in effect from 92 to 2012. And in that area, the maximum sign was 24 feet. When we adopted the new code, one of the principles that we wanted to do was to preserve the visual environment of the Barnes Crossing area. And we felt like continuing to add high signs would not be good for the overall visual effectiveness of signage in that district.
Thank you.
Whenever we put up the Volkswagen store, we put up a 16-foot sign to be in line with the variance, given that that's more of a low-speed traffic area, and we didn't find it necessary to go above 16 feet. The reason for this request is because it's directly off of US 45, which is, we think that Tom Watson Drive, we're not really advertising on Tom Watson Drive. We're trying to advertise off US 45. Do we know when the Carlock Toyota sign was put up?
It was put up under the current code, but it took 3 years for them to get that variance. And they, at one point, had a council overrule of a mayor's veto, so it was not an automatic or easy change.
Well, as y'all can see, I'm pretty old, so I don't know if I have 3 years in me.
Pat, was there any request from CarMax for a taller sign or any discussions with them about trying to have something over 16 feet?
No, they did not make that request.
And the bank at the corner is the same way, I presume?
That's correct. I understand that I'll let that one go. I won't say that. I don't want to repeat something secondhand.
Right.
I don't believe there's a sign currently at the bank right now, is there?
All right, if there's no more questions, you can sit down.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here to speak for or against? All right, you can state your name and address.
My name is Jonathan McCoy. I'm located at 2919 Tom Watson Drive, which is just north of the the Kia site. I have a statement prepared from our CEO. May I pass it out?
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. I gave Andrew a copy as well.
Can you state for the record that you're representing the B&A Bank?
I'm Jonathan McCoy. I'm Vice President, Branch Manager of B&A Bank. We're located at 2919 Tom Watson Drive, which is just north of the Kia dealership. And if I may, I'm going to read the statement that we've just given to you. This is from our CEO, Bo Collins. With all due respect to our corporate neighbor and friend, Joe Marshall, doing business as Barnes Crossing Kia, we politely object to any sign variance. Our reasoning is that we invested our funds of approximately $3 million in our Barnes Crossing branch following all the rules and regulations of the city of Tupelo, and would expect all other businesses to do the same. All businesses want to attract the eyes of passing traffic and we believe a larger sign, a sign larger than what is allowed could detract from our presence by blocking the view or commanding attention away from our own location. We believe that all businesses should play by the same rules. We appreciate the department considering our position and hope that Barnes Crossing Kia understands also that we desire to be good neighbors. And that's from our Bo Collins, our president and CEO.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone else to speak for or against this application? If not, we'll close the public portion and open for committee discussion.
Remembering what we had to go through to get the Toyota sign for them, and the other people have adhered to the city code, I can't see that it's a viable situation. And I'd hate to make them wait 3 years. However, they can apply every time.
Does the committee want to entertain a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion that we reject the application.
I second.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Thompson, second by Mr. Smith. All in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. And that is unanimous. Thank you. Pat, can you tell him what his next step would be?
Right, these minutes will be presented to the city council, and if you choose to appeal this decision to the city council, you would need to let us know within 3 business days, and we would put that on their agenda for their discussion.
The next item on the agenda, variance 17-13. The City of Tupelo Department of Development Services has received an application for a variance from Rashawn Donald to open an event center at 1604 West Main Street where beer and light wine can be served. The building is located 55 feet from a protected building. The Tupelo Municipal Code of Ordinances requires a distance of 100 feet from protected buildings. Protected buildings are defined as residences, churches, schools, kindergartens, child care facilities, nursing homes, funeral parlors, cemeteries, government buildings, and publicly owned recreation areas. Is the applicant here? Would you approach the podium, state your name and address, and your case?
Good evening. I'm Rashawn Donald. I reside at 2101 Fillmore Drive, Tupelo, Mississippi. And we want to open up the Echo Event Center. The Echo Event Center will be able to accommodate a variety of events such as wedding ceremonies, wedding receptions, corporate dinners, fundraisers, and holiday parties. The Echo Center will also be able to accommodate events such as fundraisers, class and family reunions, beauty pageants, indoor yard sales, comedy shows, and small concerts. We feel the privilege to be able to serve alcohol will be a necessity in order for our business to prosper, such as we have clientele with weddings, ceremonies ready to be booked, and I'm pretty sure that they were going to want champagne and such at their weddings. And the Echo Event Center will also have license and bond security on duty at all times during our operation hours. No customers of the Echo Center will be allowed to loiter in the parking lot at any time. The Echo Center will be a beautiful event venue that will cater to the hard-working citizens of Tupelo and the surrounding areas.
Do we have any questions?
What's your square footage?
7,800.
So that'll give your seating capacity what?
Around, as of right now, it was an event center previously, and I think the fire marshal gave the legal capacity 850, I think.
850 people?
I'm not for sure, but the owner of the building's here as well, and he can answer that question, but I think it was 850.
Do you have parking for 850 people?
We have parking for, I think it's 100 parking spots, 60 on one side, 60 on the
That's
other.
on the east side of the building, right?
Well, both sides is considered owner of the Wind Center, Echo Center.
Okay.
So it's both sides, two rows on each side, and I was gonna stripe off the back to make parking in the back as well.
So where's your parking for the other 750 people?
See, that's what the fire marshal gave it previous. Now, after we put the booths in and stuff, I'm pretty sure that capacity is gonna go down. I'm pretty sure it will.
Well, there's, and Mr. Faulkner can attest to this, you have to have a certain number of parking places for how many people that can fit in the building. I mean, you can't have 850 people there if you only have 100 parking spots, whether they'll fit or not. They don't have anywhere to park.
Right. Can I ask the owner of the building what was the legal capacity before this?
Okay.
Can you remember what the legal
He needs to
capacity?
come up
He needs to
here
come up where you
and
are.
speak
Okay.
through the mic, so we're recording this.
Okay.
So if he wants to come up here and state what the occupancy is.
My name is Patrick Nguyen. I'm the owner of the event center at 1604 West Main Street, Tupelo, Mississippi. The last time the fire marshal came in when it opened, it's supposed to be like about 450 instead of 850, he said.
Well, once again, how many parking spots do you have?
Well, we should be having, close to 100, no, but not quite that much. Let me see.
So what do you do about your handicap? Because you're going to have a certain amount set aside for handicap,
Right.
and your inside is going to be like your restrooms and stuff are going to have to be handicap accessible.
Yes. Yes, it is already there.
Okay.
Pat, do we know how many parking spots he would need for 450 people?
Well, I'm not sure I'm making the math correct in my head, but it's going to be more than that's what's there. It looks like it's going to be 175 or so, at least.
Is there other parking in the area that the facility uses right now?
There are, when I had the event centers, when we have an event, we ask the link center, and we'll pay portions of it to the link centers to provide the parking space, providing that as long as they don't have any events there.
So when the Link Center is not having anything and you are, do you get a letter from the Link Center that is exonerating them from any problems that may occur on their property that is part of your venue that you are having?
We didn't got a letter, to them. We did go and talk to them at the time, and they're saying that we had to put like down payment, for the parking, just in case if it wasn't cleaned up after the events. And so what we do is that, when we have an events done, we went and cleaned up the whole entire parking lot to making sure that it was clean.
We have a letter from the Link Center saying the opposite, that the parking lots were being used and were trashed and were not cleaned up, and they had to spend their time and money to clean up the parking lots.
Every events there. When I was there, I always go to make sure that it was clean. Every single one of them, we went clean. And there are times that we cleaned up. Certain portions are being paid to the links, and they're saying it's not clean. So I don't know how clean it is, and they took the money, but. Anyway,
I'm just referring to their letter here that says that the the facility has a history, let's see, of, that the Link Center has to spend their time and money cleaning up after their event guests, and the refusal of the owner to cooperate with our continued request to respect our private property. So it sounds like that you're parking on their property and disrupting their property and trashing their property and then leaving it in that state. That's what the letter from the Link Center that we have states.
Well, if all granted, I will be the new leaser, and I have a crew that's going to mandatory, make sure this won't be a problem at all.
So have you had any events there yourself already?
No, I do events throughout the state of Mississippi, and I rent people's venues, and now that I'm here at home, I figure that instead of renting people's venues, I can do my own. I have enough clientele to make a real prosperous business.
Have you been around in the area and asked people who live, not rent, but who live in the area, what is their mindset on
Yes, sir. I went in a 400-foot radius of the entire building, which I only had to go 100 foot, but I went 400 foot, and I have everyone's signature and everyone's address in the entire neighborhood with approval.
Now, these are the people that live in the buildings, not the people that own the buildings, right?
Well, these are people who actually live
So
in the
they're
building right
the
now.
renters, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't have a chance to talk to the people who own the buildings?
Well, I couldn't reach those people. I was told to go in the neighborhood, and that's right. I have a list of the names and addresses if y'all want to see them.
Okay.
Can I pass this down? Do I need
I
to?
think we have that.
We have a copy of that.
We have that.
I went back and got a few more people that wasn't home. I went back and got like 11 more.
That's okay. The main thing is the homeowners, and I see that those letters have been sent out. Well, we're still in the public portion right now, so I'll wait till we get into it.
Do you have any more questions?
I have a question for the owner. You mentioned that you may be getting pews or benches in this actual facility, and that's going to reduce the amount of people you think that are going to be allowed in this building as far as the occupancy. What number do you have in mind? Right now, you're saying the maximum capacity is 450. But what do you expect it to go down towards?
Yeah, if I'm leasing it, he will be the one who's going to put it in. So I don't know what his sketch is going to be. So therefore, I don't know exactly what he planning to do or how much of booth he's going to put in.
I'm lining booths on both sides of the interior wall, so it's probably going to take it down half.
Okay.
I think it's around 12 booths per wall.
Any more questions?
Is that running down the outside perimeter of the interior walls that you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
There's no in-between blockage?
No, sir. No, sir.
So, how is your restroom set up?
We have men and women in the back in the left corner. They are already handicap accessible, both.
Okay. What about your kitchen facilities?
We have a kitchen area in the back. Sprinkler system as well.
You say sprinkler system?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Everything is up to code. And
If there are no more questions, y'all can sit down.
thanks.
We're going to open the public portion. If there's anyone here to speak for or against this application, then decide who's going first and come speak. State your name and address.
My name is Jim Armstrong. I own the property at 200 Bowen Street. That's a residence. That's a rental property. I know this committee has been concerned about urban renewal, by evidenced by all the work you've done on Jackson Street. I took a decrepit house, invested many thousands of dollars and many hundreds of hours renovating this house and made it into a nice house. And I don't want anything that's going to detract from my property and my ability to get good renters. Right now I have a young couple with a baby, and I don't want something that's going to have music blaring all night, trash in the parking lot blowing into my property where I have to clean it up. And I'm concerned about the safety. You know, this young couple, like I said, has a baby. I'm concerned about the safety of them. I'm concerned about my property value, and I want to be able to continue to get good renters. I've been able to successfully have good renters in my house, and I want to continue to do that.
First of all, I'd like to thank the board and for all y'all's hard work. I've been before the committee on the opposing side before when I built my building that's on West Main, and I'm located at 1608 West Main, Village Frame Shop, so I'm a business there. One thing I'm not sure, I know he said he contacted residents, but no one came and talked to me, and I'm right next door. Our property lines adjoin. My biggest, I've got quite a few concerns, but I know when I went before the variance committee 20 years ago, you know, it was curb appeal, curb appeal, curb appeal. I mean, if I heard it once, I heard it many times. My biggest concern there is what was addressed by y'all earlier, is parking, because our parking facility is, we have trash in it and stuff evidence when things have gone on. We're closed on the weekend, so when we come in on Mondays, you know, from cigarette butts all over the place, and it doesn't have to be big hunks of trash sometimes, but it's still stuff that has to be attended to and picked up. And the other part that I can speak pretty intelligently on is I've got a wedding venue myself. I've got Kingfisher Lodge, and so we've been in operation now 2.5 years. We've sunk over $1 million in building our facility, and I know what happens when you have alcohol at a party. And we have security, we have all this, but we're still, it takes a lot of work to oversee that, and so you naturally are going to create problems. But the biggest thing, and my part is just and a lot of times it's when you leave at night, and I've been custom on parking lot before where they've had, and I'm not saying this about the young fellow that talked about wanting to do something new, but if I happen to be there on a Saturday and happen to work something, sometimes I'm very careful when I'm leaving the building. But the high school parties that have been there, and that's what concerns me, there's all kind of damage that goes on with that. They like to vandalize things that not everybody knows about, or, you know, sometimes you might want to blame somebody else that lives nearby or kids walking around, but a lot of times it happens from those folks that have had too much to drink. And so for my interest in my business, I would like to see where there's no alcohol served there.
Excuse me, could I get your name, please?
I'm sorry, Mimi Pettit.
Let her come up, and then she's already up here, and then you can come back up.
Oh, you can come next if you want. I'll wait. If it's okay. I don't
It doesn't matter. I was just, since you had already gotten up.
Okay.
You can go.
Okay. My name is Robin Gibson. I own Davin LLC, which is the owner of 1602 West Main Street, 1600 1 through 3 West Main Street, and 1607 Eckford 1 through 3. So I'm sorry that you're coming up on the behind end of what I've had to deal with. I've sent you a letter I don't know if Mrs. Bell got that to you?
Yes, we have the letter.
Okay. We have had tremendous trouble from the events at the event center, from parking to destroyed property, bodily fluids, hundreds of cigarette butts on the parking lot landscaping, beer bottles broken, beer cans, beer boxes, a toga. I mean, it has not been nice at all. And I'm afraid, and I feel bad that you're coming up with something new that you're going to hindsight, this is a mess. They're parking in my parking lots. They're connected. And I don't know how, I think there might be 10 or 12 on one side, and I don't know what's on the other side. But they were parking in my tenants' parking places, they were parking in my business parking places, and they were totally disrespectful of my property. And I have spent a lot of money building those buildings up. They've been totally refurbished, redone. Ken Estes is my property manager. He can speak to that if you want to hear it, but it's been a lot. So, not that I want to deny anybody a business opportunity, but I don't want this deluge of junk. And it's been junk. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks.
You have a question for me?
I don't think so.
Hey, I'm Rashawn Donald. The high school events that did all the trashing and stuff, we're not even going to accommodate high school events, period. So that really, it's not going to be like whoever was renting it last time. It's a totally different. Like, it really is 21 and up, because there's no juveniles getting married, no way. The comedy shows that we have booked will be 21 and up. Most of all the events, except for beauty pageants, family reunion, class reunion will be 21 and up because they graduated. So it really, the ones that were, I did my research as well. The ones who was making the trash and the disturbance and disrespectful was high school kids. Somebody was renting the building from the owner for one night, and they'll throw a party, maybe a high school party. But I can guarantee you, with no high school kids on our property at all, no trash build up. I have a crew for that. I'm not just starting this business. I've been doing events for 5 years. It's just they've been all over the state of Mississippi. I got one this Saturday coming up. I had one last Saturday in Hattiesburg. I don't have that problem what the others had. I'm like a different level, if that makes sense. My clientele is hardworking business people, not high school kids. So I'm targeting a whole different area. So that what happened last in the past is really, it's not gonna happen this time. You got my word on that. I sign contracts, whatever you need me to do.
Stone, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I understand their concern, having business owners, being business owners and property owners. Is there anything specific that you could tell us that you plan on doing specifically to prevent this from happening? They mentioned bottles, bodily fluids, other things. What measures do you intend to take to prevent that from happening?
7 licensed and bonded security guards on the premises at all times that we're open. 4 for the inside, 3 to surround the parking lot at all times. It's in the perimeter. No one will hang out at all. I know the city guidelines. I know that wouldn't look too good, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that. I stand on that.
You still have an issue with parking. There's not enough parking places that on your own property for the number of people that are coming to your events, not to mention the security, the caterers, and the workers. You don't have anywhere for them to park, and naturally they're going to park at the adjacent parking lots where they obviously do not want you to park. And that's an issue that I don't see a way to resolve that. You're limited by the number of parking places that are on the property, and I don't know if we have that exact number in front of us, but it's not, based on what we can see, it's nowhere close to the number of people that you're planning on having there, when you count the workers as well as the number of guests.
Well, you know, it's only, you know, wedding rehearsal, what you got, about 60 people? 85 at the most?
Oh, just a few minutes ago, you were talking 200, 300, even 450. You know, we got to look at what's the most, not, you can't pick out what would be the least amount of people that would be there. We have to look at, well, what's the maximum occupancy? And then there are formulas for how many parking places that need to be for that number of people, and that's what we have to work with. The maximum figures, not minimum figures.
Right. Well, that 450 number was the number that Mr. Cross gave the owner of the building. So whatever procedure he took to come up with that number, that's what he did.
What is your age limit? Beginning age limit?
21.
21.
Unless it's a wedding, you know, then of course the kids are in the wedding. But far as a comedy show, 21 and up. If it's a beauty pageant, it's not no age limit. If it's a family reunion, it's not an age limit. But at the events, such as comedy show, maybe a small concert, it would be 21 and up.
Okay, why not 25?
Because I know some people who's graduated college that are successful at 21, 22. So I can't. I mean, if you tell me I have to do 25, I will, but I see people that are on the right path at 21, 22, and 23.
Any other questions?
That's what I'm having a great debate about, sitting here listening. Because 25, a 21-year-old is not going to be any stable than a 25, but you stand a better chance of a 25 doing what they're supposed to. I've been in the business. Used to run the Elks, and you know that because
Yes,
you've
sir.
been there.
Yes, sir.
So we average, when I was there, we averaged maybe 800 to 1,000 people in the downstairs bar. That's not even counting the upstairs bar, which was another 2,500. And you had to have parking to handle that kind of control.
Yes, sir.
And of course, you know, they parked up all the way up to the church and all the way down to the park. And that's why about that. But, and yes, you have to have good security. We had good security. They played professional football, so there wasn't no deal with them. You know, you were just a rookie. Mm-hmm. And, but the bottom line is that the people who are in the area, and I'm talking about the people who own property in the area, are not going to be subject to a lot of rigmarole. I don't want to hear that. I'm 61. When I go to bed at night, I don't want to hear no noise in my neighborhood. And the next morning I get up and go confront the neighbor. Let me hear your child or your dog barking. We're going to have a problem. And this is where the people who live in the neighborhoods are. They don't want to hear no noise. I want to hear you cranking up your car. Push it if you have to.
That's what the outside security is for, to make sure no one is in the parking lot with loud music playing. And to his resident at 200 Bourne Street, they signed this approval. The one he was worried about with the baby. They ready for this business to open. I had a name right here. Riley and Bailey, lieutenants. Yeah, they signed right here. And those protected, those buildings, them businesses next door, those not protected buildings, right?
What you mean?
They're within 100 feet, yes.
Oh, I thought it had to be like a house or a church, or I didn't know it was a business 100 feet. I thought it was a house, church, school.
I'll let Pat clarify that.
The ordinance says that you've got to ask for a variance if there are protected buildings within that area. But then once you, in having to make that request, the committee has to look at all the situations that could be affected positively or negatively.
Yes, sir. And speak on the Kingfisher situation, that's competition. Of course, they're going to say no. Because they do weddings as well. We're going to be doing weddings.
I have Goodlet Manor, so I do weddings as well, but that has nothing to do with it. That wasn't very kosher there.
Sorry.
I know you've got good intentions with all of this. You know, that's great. But on the other hand, the parking issue is a problem. And I think until you can meet that, you're going to have problems. As good as your intentions are, you're going to struggle with that. And to be very honest, if you're ready for a motion on this, I'm not sure if you are.
I think we're still in public
Well,
hearing.
I still want to make sure that everyone that has spoken wants to speak. Do we have any more questions for him? Okay. Is there anyone else who wants to speak for or against? Okay. You can come back up to the mic.
Just in his response to his getting my residents to sign, they might not be there next year. I mean, you know, renters are temporary, they're not permanent. I'm the owner, I am permanent.
Yes.
And
And that's why we made the point when you first came up that the renters really don't matter. It's the owners, and him getting, you know, the signatures from the renters, like you said, they could be on next month. It's the owners that are there that have a vested interest in the property. And so we agree 100% with that.
The property at 200 Barnes is more than 100 feet away. And the ordinance says if your building is located on Main Street, you have to be 100 feet away from for where I'm applying for the variance from. He's more than 100 feet.
There is property within 100 feet that constitutes protected buildings that mean you have to ask for the variance. We are required to give notice to every property owner within 500 feet. So that means those property owners within that 500 feet circle have the opportunity to comment.
Okay.
Let me ask you something. What has the ABC said to you about your liquor license as far as wine? Because it is a liquor.
Well, we was waiting on this step here to go through first. I was trying to take it one step at a time.
So what we do tonight is contingent on what you do for the rest of your life, as far as that building is concerned.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else to speak? Okay, come up to the podium, state your name and address.
Kenneth Estes, 146 County Road 1119, South Tupelo, Mississippi 38866. I'm property manager for Davin LLC. If you go back one slide, Marilyn. There you go. Is that yellow line, highlighted line, supposed to be the property line? Or is that just up for... It is the property line.
Yes, should be.
Okay. So then 1600 West Main, 1607 West Main, the three is showing as 6 buildings there. Those are built right on the property line? As well as, and got my readers on, that 1606 or 1608? 1608 is built right on the property line? Their parking lot is allowed to come right up to another building? I know that's not in I know that's not code. Years ago, when these buildings was built, probably even before Pat's time, that might have been, but the way the lines are showing, I know the 1600 West Main and 1607 Eckford, that building is not that old of a building, but it's showing, based on that it's built right on the property line.
I think what you're seeing here is when we highlighted that property line, you've got a thick visual line here.
Yeah.
It's probably 5 to 10 feet on the ground there.
Okay.
Yeah, and the side setback is only 10 feet for this property. Front's
Okay.
30, side 10, rear 10.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's, and like Pat said, with the thickness of the line.
But yeah, it could be that. That's
yeah.
what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and I want to reiterate what Ms. Gibson was saying. Where if they have an event during the day, we've got Howie Chiropractic in 1602 West Main. He's there on Saturdays. If there's an event there and there's not enough parking on site, of course, they're spilling over. It's happened multiple times with events. So he's got to find places for his customers to park during business hours. So it's just not a good situation.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? If not, we're going to close the public portion and open for a committee discussion.
I want to double check that. The reason that he put the application in was because he was within 100 feet of a protected building. So with that in place, and with the conversation from the owners of buildings, I would not be in support of it.
Yeah, I think we can talk about parking and bathrooms all day, but at the end of the day, the request is a variance for consumption of alcohol in an area that doesn't meet the required clearance for the sale of alcohol, so.
And that's why we have the code.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we reject the application.
Okay.
Second the motion.
Motion by Ms. Thompson, second by Mr. Reed. All in favor of the motion to deny the application, raise your right hand. And that is unanimous. Pat, can you tell them what's...
Same process works for this one as for the previous one. If you feel like you want to appeal this action to the next level, it would be to the city council. You'd need to give us that request in writing within 3 business days.
Do we have any items for the next meeting?
We do have one.
We have one. And with it being around Christmas,
29.
we need to decide on, because the next work session would be Christmas Day and the next meeting would be New Year's Day.
Or is it New Year's Day and then January? I can't tell. You've got the calendar.
Yeah, well, the 25th is the last, would be the work session, and the 1st would be the meeting, which obviously will not happen. So we need to come up with
28.
the Thursday, December 28th for a work session. How does that sound?
It's all right.
And then what about that next, do we skip to that 8th, January the 8th for the meeting? We've done that before, I think, bump it a week. Is that all right with everyone?
That's fine.
So we're going to roll with December 28th as the work session and January the 8th as the public meeting.
Scott, which day is the January the 8th on?
Monday.
Monday.
Yes, it's just a week later than normal.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Well, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, let's adjourn.